Hi, I'm Deacon Mike Wesley with Discovering the Gifts of the Holy Spirit. In an attempt to generate a Facebook discussion on the gift of tongues, I asked the question, does every baptized Holy Spirit believer receive the gift of tongues? And I very much appreciated the two responses I received, but it's apparently not as controversial of a subject as I thought it would be. But this is how I would respond. In 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 27 to 31, after mentioning several gifts of the Holy Spirit, St. Paul said, "Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Do all work mighty deeds?" which can also be translated as the gift of miracles. "Do all have the gift of healing? Do all speak in tongues? Do all interpret?" The implication is that none of us have all the gifts of the Holy Spirit, including the gift of tongues. But in 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 5, St. Paul says, "Now I should like all of you to speak in tongues, but even more to prophesy." Well, is he now saying that we all have the gift of tongues and that we can all prophesy? Well, I personally believe that everyone who has received the gift of the Holy Spirit can open up to the gift of tongues. Now, some people may not want to open up to the gift of tongues for whatever reason, and that's okay. It's not going to affect their salvation or level of holiness at all. But there are some people who would love to open up to the gift of tongues and are simply not able to do so. So, if the gift of tongues is meant for everyone, then why aren't they able to open up to it? And that's a very good question. But in speaking from personal experience, there was a time that I really wanted to pray in tongues, but was not able to. I just couldn't figure out how it worked. I kept waiting for the Holy Spirit to make it come out of me. Well, I think it was during the spring break of 1972 when I went to visit my grandma in Los Angeles, California. And while I was there, I asked her to take me to the international headquarters of the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International. I was familiar with their magazine called Voice, which shared testimonies of how the Holy Spirit had changed people's lives. And I was hungry to gobble up anything that I could get on the Holy Spirit. So when we got there, we walked into their morning devotional service. And since everyone was praying in tongues, I started praying in tongues too. Now, was this the effect of auto-suggestion? Perhaps. But it was in this way that I was able to open up to the gift of tongues. Now, I've often counseled people to start using whatever sounds come to them or to start talking gibberish when they worship God. Remember that God is listening to what's in your heart. And if praise is there, then that is what God is going to hear. And this will at least get the vocal cords to start moving. And then keep it up. Don't get discouraged because it's not as fluent in the beginning as you would like it to be. Another point, in 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 31, St. Paul says, "For you can all prophesy one by one, so that all may learn and all be encouraged." Now, I've never been able to prophesy like I've heard it done with several other people, and I've been praying for this gift for years. But I believe that God does speak through me prophetically in my teaching and in my preaching. And it may be in this way that God has granted me this gift. In the same way, someone may have an anointed gift of praise without praying in tongues. But I personally believe that everyone with the Holy Spirit does have the ability to pray in tongues if they want to. But I would encourage anyone who wants to pray in tongues to use the technique I mentioned earlier and not to give up on it. Now, there's a good article on this subject from ICCRS, and I'll write a link to it at the bottom of this page. I'm Deacon Mike with Discovering the Gifts of the Holy Spirit.